Hello again, you sick, twisted weather freaks and snowstorm lovers across the central and eastern U.S. Time for another exciting edition of the Snowstorm Podcast. On this Friday afternoon, March 23rd, I'm your host and meteorologist DT from weatherist.com, your local snowstorm aficionado and professional evil scientist. We'll be talking about the upcoming event here for Southwest Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, Southern West Virginia this weekend, and then what happens to the pattern after that. So let's get right to it. Lots to talk about. This was something I put out a couple days ago where we saw this streak of snow coming in from the Midwest across Kentucky and Ohio. This was from Sunday, actually, the Sunday models, if I think that was correct. No, actually, this came out. Let's see what this was on the 21st. So this was on Wednesday, excuse me. So this was the Wednesday models, the GFS and the European. And what's striking was a similarity in the snow shield. You can see that. Notice that in Southwest Virginia, and here the GFS was showing up to 14 inches. The European was around 9 or 10. And then the snow streak actually made it out towards Richmond, up to Charlottesville, and towards Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina. Now, this obviously, remember, these models are based upon your 10-to-1 snow ratio, which of course is probably not going to be the case. But in the higher elevated terrain during Saturday night and Sunday morning, the snow ratios could be 10-to-1. So these may not be that far off. Now, whether or not the snow gets as far east as Richmond, or whether or not you're going to get 9 inches of snow or 6 inches of snow down by Emporia or South Hill, South Boston, that area, it's a little more tricky. But that's what the data was showing. Now, as I posted on the Facebook page and on the website, there are 3 different scenarios here. So this is the first one, different possibilities here that I've been looking at. This is number 1. Okay, and you can see the main streak of snow is the blue, and then this is what we're wondering about, this possibility in here for Saturday night, Sunday. And as you can see, this takes the scenario 1 across eastern Kentucky, the southern third of West Virginia, southwest Virginia, into western and central North Carolina. Notice that Richmond in this scenario, let me clear it out so you can see it a little better. Richmond in this scenario does not get any snow, nothing over an inch, neither does Charlottesville or Stanton, or any of those places. So it's all to the south. Now, that's one possibility that I was looking at, not the only one. This is scenario 2. And make sure it clears it up. There we go. And scenario 2 has had snow bending a little further to the east here, a little more easterly component, and that would bring significant snow, or at least moderate snow, into Richmond and Charlottesville up to Stanton. And by southwest Virginia be more rain, and most of the snow would stay along or just to the north of the North Carolina-Virginia border. So this is scenario number 2. And again, we can see that that's one possibility. And the final scenario is this number 3 scenario here, where it takes a much more easterly track and it bends. And we'll see why. This assumed that the Arctic high up to the north would be not quite as strong, and as a result, actually the snow line would get close to, well, let's say Fredericksburg, Manassas, and up towards Culpeper, Warrenton, and Richmond and Charlottesville and Stanton would be, as well as Lynchburg would be in the smack of it, and Roanoke actually would be on the southern edge of it. So that's one possibility. And of course, the snow would get into the northern neck as well, and maybe the Delmarva. One possibility different. So it's pretty clear now that this is not going to be the case. This is simply not going to happen here at all. And if we had to go back and pick a scenario, it looks like number 1 is going to be the case. And we'll get into why in a second here. Now, this is the upper air map. This is from the NAM. The European was showing this a few days ago. So this is why the system, you get these snow nuts up there. They go, oh, snow's coming north. The system's going to trend north. No, it's not trending north. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's the case, sometimes it's not the case. This isn't one of them. So there is no rule that it always comes to the north. I don't know where that comes from, but whatever. So what happens here is we have 2 pieces of energy. So this first one, which let me highlight here, you can see here. Well, highlighted in the blue. You see this big disturbance here in Iowa. There's your short wave, your big piece of energy, your vortmax. But there's another one here. Okay, and this is in eastern Canada. And this is also coming south. So what's going to happen is this feature is so strong for this time of year, this feature is going to be destroyed. And we'll see that in just 1 second as it comes into West Virginia, Virginia. So here it is. Now this is Saturday night. So look at the change from this to that. This on Saturday afternoon at noon to this at Sunday morning 2 a.m. This to that. This to that. There you go. And the northern piece of energy, which was up here north in Montreal, now look where it is. Closed 500 low over central and upstate New York. So it's clearly shoving the system southward. You can see it. And this is being destroyed as it comes eastward. And that's why the snow shield falls apart as it tries to get east. And then by Saturday afternoon, into Sunday afternoon, 2 o'clock, you can't even find that feature. It's gone. Completely wiped out. And behind it, we have this enormous ridge, which we'll talk about that a little later. Right here, this enormous ridge is a pattern here. The jet stream builds a huge ridge in Canada, and we'll get into that a little later. Okay, so if you look at our probabilities, now this was the forecast from yesterday in terms of snowfall greater than 2 inches. No, actually, this is the updated one. When did this come out? No, this was Thursdays, excuse me. This was Thursday afternoons. Probability. Now, this is for 2 inches or more. All right, see, we can see the figure down here. Look, 2 inches or more right here. See that? Okay, so we can see our maps, and there's Roanoke right here, and there's Lynchburg. So you can see this pink area, 80 to 90% probability. Blacksburg, so on and so forth, out towards Lynchburg. Now, here's Richmond. This was yesterday's data. Now, Richmond, north of the city, is in this dark green, which is 30 to 40%. And then Chester and Petersburg, that's about 50%, 40 to 50% in here. And then Farmville, are you up towards Stanton, Charlottesville? Yeah. And they even had, 20% into Northern Virginia. Now, that's not going to happen, and we'll see why, because that was based on yesterday's data, and the new data, like I said, is getting the system crushed. So this is the new data greater than 2 inches, and you can see now the big change between, look at Richmond here and here. Richmond is down to 5%. Big change. So this is greater than 2 inches again, right here, you can see that. And this is the main core in Southwest Virginia. Now, this is the North Carolina border here. So some of these areas, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, they have a good shot of getting some snow or some snow and sleet mixed. But look how fast it drops off. There's Stanton right here. Now, they're around 50%, so they get a shot. But then there's Charlottesville over here and Richmond, and it really drops off. And then this next probability is 4 inches or more. 4 inches or more. And notice, according to the WPC, NWS, there's no chance of Richmond getting that at all. None. And this is Harrisonburg, 10%. Stanton, 25%, something like that. Charlottesville, about 15%. So now we can see the progress of how things develop here. This is the European model from last night. So this is the 0Z Friday European. Okay, 0Z Friday. Now, this is a Saturday at 2 p.m. All right? So here's the snow. It hasn't quite reached Roanoke yet. And it's down to this way. This is Southwest Virginia mostly. And notice down in the far Southwest Virginia, the other side of the front, this is rain. But you can see good snow in Kentucky, and then far Southwest Virginia here, and over towards Bluefield in West Virginia. And then you can see this here. This is the European again, valid as of 8 p.m. on Saturday, and you can see the snow has now reached into Roanoke and Southwest Virginia, and we have mixed precipitation in Northwest Virginia, Northwest North Carolina in here. This will change over to snow as the system gets developed. And meanwhile, we have light rain over here into Southern Virginia, Piedmont. And then this is now 1 a.m. on 2 a.m. Sunday morning. And again, look how fast this falls apart on the latest model data. Now, maybe the Europeans overdoing this. A lot of freezing rain and sleet down in here, and then good snow in this area like this. But notice Richmond doesn't get anything. Charlottesville, Stanton doesn't get anything. Completely dry. And then finally, this here, now this is Sunday morning at 8 a.m. And again, just light stuff, mixed precipitation, some snow in north central North Carolina, moderate snow still in Roanoke and Blacksburg. Lynchburg is on the edge. Then the precipitation may be over by then. Some of the models have Lynchburg getting a decent couple inches of snow. Some models don't. This is last night's European snow model. Again, this is 0Z Friday. Run, you can see, for example, there is, where's Lynchburg? I think this is Lynchburg here at 4 inches. Is that right? And then Roanoke is getting slammed. You can see 6, 8, 10 inches of snow in that area. Notice that down to Hickory, Salem, Winston, maybe Greensboro, some decent snow in here. Some of this will be snow and ice, but pretty good snow. And again, nothing into central Virginia. All in this direction, then it dies because of the system getting crushed. This is the GFS 12Z GFS, again, you can see how it gets crushed here very clearly. Notice you see the dashed lines here. This is all that upper low coming southward like this. So this system here is getting crushed as it comes this way. Clearly, we can see that. And this is 2 a.m. Saturday morning, getting wiped out. Good snowstorm being wiped out. And there it is, being pushed off the coast by Sunday morning. Now, if we look at this is the 6Z NAM and high resolution, you can see really good snow here. This dark red stuff, that's like 10 inches. Roanoke, Blacksburg, that sort of stuff. Most of it is west of Roanoke on this 6Z NAM. And then again, Farmville gets like an inch or two, and then nothing in Richmond or Petersburg. You can see that. Notice the northern counties here get a good snow also. That was the 6Z NAM. Now this is this was the 12Z GFS. Yes, so it just came out, and I enlarged it. You can see and more here. The snow is a little better on the 12Z GFS, not quite as suppressed. It actually gets fairly close to Chesterfield County, Petersburg. Some snow into the interior here. Hickory, Greensboro, they get a few inches of snow. The big snowy mains in southwest Virginia. And all close to Stanton, definitely up through Lexington. But again, there's Charlottesville and there's Richmond, not quite. And there's some variability here yet still, but that's the tendency. There's not a lot of data which puts this into Charlottesville or Richmond. That's just no data that supposes that. Farmville, maybe. Lynchburg, sure. Danville, South Hill, sure. Charlottesville, Richmond, I don't see that happening. Okay, we'll go here. Now, this is the sleet map, and this is from the 12Z GFS, and you can see it does show some sleet in here, and that's something you have to keep in mind looking at these different models. There is going to be some sleet involved in this. Now this is the 12Z NAM, and actually has a dark red area which is 15 inches in some of the mountains, if you can believe that. Again, but this is going to have sleet in there, so you want to keep that in mind. It does bring as you can see, Farmville gets an inch or two. Lynchburg gets about 3 or 4. And then look at these areas, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Hickory. They get a good snow in here. And then right along North Carolina border, they get slammed. And the best snows you can see, again, on the NAM here, appears to be a little west of Roanoke and Blacksburg and Christiansburg. This is the 12Z NAM on better resolution from the bigger scale. You can see it here. So we just saw that. But again, this includes sleet. You've got to remember that. It includes the sleet. Now, if we take a look at the NAM, this is the 6Z NAM, and it's showing the same sort of thing, both as that to this. Not much different here. It's a little further to the east on the 12Z NAM, but again, it also includes sleet. Now, here's the thing. If we take a look at this, let's see here. This is the 12Z also, and I want to post the one. Here's the one. This is the one without the sleet. And see the difference? It's really quite significant. The snow in southwest Virginia and even south central Virginia. There it is on the much less here. Let's go back to that. With sleet, and this is without sleet. With sleet and without sleet. So keep that in mind. All right. And then let's see here. This here is the GFS, and we saw that. This is the 6Z GFS, and notice that it has a little more on the northern edge, close to Richmond and Charlottesville. And then good snow in north central North Carolina, northwest, and southwest Virginia. Also, this does include sleet. And this last one here, this is the 12Z run. And notice it again is back to the old idea of the northern edge of it being destroyed right in here. The northern edge not making it to Richmond or Charlottesville. Now, if we look at the latest data that I can see here, this is the New European, which is just coming in, I believe, yes. And you can see this is Saturday, 4 p.m. 5 p.m., excuse me. Saturday, 5 p.m. 5 p.m. on Saturday. Okay, there you go. And you can see here's the snow line just getting in. It's still, the snow is reaching Roanoke as mixed precipitation, southwest Virginia. Greensboro may be getting rain and snow mixed here as well. Winston-Salem, that sort of thing. But as the moving to the evening hours and temperature drops, it becomes more snow. This is Saturday, 8 p.m. Roanoke snowing. Pretty good. Areas west of Roanoke snowing really well. Bluefield and Beckley is snowing. Charleston is snowing. Lynchburg is snowing. Now it has light precipitation getting close into Farmville, close to Richmond. We'll see. And the rain snow line is approaching Raleigh. So that'll be interesting to see if they get that. And then finally, this here is 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Notice it stays south and east of Richmond. Will Chesterfield get any snow? Maybe. Petersburg? Maybe. Amelia? Yeah, probably some, not a lot. Lynchburg looks like going to be okay. And the rain snow line gets, again, very close to Raleigh, I think, and Greensboro. Those northern counties will get hit. Still snowing in southwest Virginia. Now, if we go beyond that, the temperatures do warm up, and I wanted to point this out to you, so you're going to like this a lot. This here is the max temperatures on Thursday. Look at those readings in Virginia and North Carolina, and into the Northeast, New England, but they have more snow on the ground, not quite as warm. And you can even see that here on the 23rd, and then we can see it even more so on March 31st. Excuse me, this last one was not, it was March 30th, Friday, and this is Saturday, March 31. So there is some warm air showing up here at some point. I just realized that I did not actually post the first guess map yet. So let me go back to that and post that here. And you can see it in more right here. This is the first guess map. Again, covers a large area. But the red area represents, and you'll see this when I put out the numbers, the red area represents 10 inches of snow, 8 to 10 inches. The purple area is generally 6 to 8 inches of snow. The dark blue area is 4 to 6 inches of snow. The light blue is 2 to 4, the green is 1 to 2, and the black is 1 inch. So very, very tight snow grading here, folks, really tight. And you'll see that in more detail here. So I zoomed in so everybody can see this in more detail, and you can see your cities, your locations. Again, I have the 1 inch line staying outside of Richmond and Charlottesville, not even getting close. The red, 8 to 10 inches of snow. The purple is 6 to 8 inches of snow. The dark blue, 6 to 8 inches of snow, and so on and so forth. And you'll see the scale when I post it on the Facebook page in just a second. And finally, if you go beyond this, I know I even had the temperatures warming up, but the cold pattern is not done. This is the extended European. It's shockingly cold here. Day 10, April 1st, April 2nd. Just a lot of ridge on the west coast, as you can see. Very strong ridging here. Arctic flow coming in directly out of Canada. A big ridge here like this. Another one in Greenland. Very cold looking pattern here for the first half of April. And to show you what those temperatures look like, these are the temperature anomalies for April 1st and 2nd. You can see the Arctic blast coming southward. Very impressive. And then this is April 6th and 7th. Look at this trough. This is more like winter. And you can, this is a very cold pattern, and you can see the temperatures. This is April 5th, and that's going to last, this pattern is going to last at least to April 10th that I can see. It may last the entire month, so it could be a cold, cold month, and that's really bad news if you're growing stuff in the Mid-Atlantic or the Northeast or what have you, or the Midwest. A lot of the fruit orchards and a lot of the vineyards in April, there could be a lot of frost and freezes here going into mid and late April if this pattern continues. Anyway, that's the forecast, and again, I'll put the updated first guess map on the Facebook page in just a minute. This is meteorologist DT. I'll talk to you soon.